to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, a quiet little harbor of sound where you can rest while you listen to the tale of the red lighthouse keeper on a misty shore. As you settle in, allow your body to find a position that feels soft and supported. You may be lying on your back or curled gently on your side, your head resting on a pillow that holds you like a small cloud. Let your hands rest wherever they feel the most at ease. There is nowhere you need to go and nothing you need to do. For this time, the world can wait outside your door. Take a slow, easy breath in through your nose, letting the air drift down into your chest, into your belly. Then breathe out as if you are sighing away the whole day. Feel your shoulders soften, your jaw loosen, the small muscles around your eyes letting go. Another soft breath in and a long, quiet breath out. With each exhale, imagine the weight of the day sliding away, like sand being smoothed by a gentle wave. As you listen, you will be carried to a distant coastline where the sea lies calm beneath the moon and a tall red lighthouse watches over the sleeping water. You will meet the keeper of that lighthouse, whose evenings are filled with steady light, slow footsteps, and the whisper of the tide. For now, simply breathe and let the edges of your own thoughts blur, as if wrapped in a warm, gentle mist. The night around you is safe and still. Whatever has happened today can rest. Your only task is to drift with the story, letting each word carry you a little farther from worry, a little closer to sleep. Far from crowded streets and bright windows, a narrow peninsula of dark rock reaches out into the sea. It is an old piece of coast worn smooth by waves and wind, where the air smells of salt and rain and seaweed drying on stone. At the very tip of this peninsula, alone against the open water, rises a tall lighthouse painted the color of deep autumn apples, a quiet red that seems to hold the last light of sunset long after the sun has gone. This is the red lighthouse, and inside it lives the keeper. The keeper is a gentle soul named Elian. Elian is neither young nor old, but stands in that easy middle place where time moves like a slow tide. Silver threads run through their hair, and their hands are steady from years of simple, careful tasks. Elian loves the lighthouse as one loves a loyal friend, and the lighthouse in its own way seems to love Elian back. Each evening begins in the same unhurried way. As the last colors of day fade from the sky and the horizon becomes a soft band of violet, Elian climbs the winding iron steps inside the tower. The steps curve upward along the round wall, their edges worn smooth. With every step, the sounds of the sea drift through the narrow windows. The hush of a distant wave, the rattle of pebbles pulled back by the tide, the faint cry of a bird crossing the darkening sky. The air inside the lighthouse smells of lamp oil and old stone and polished brass. On the walls, charts and faded photographs hang in quiet rows. At a small landing halfway up, a knitted shawl, the color of the ocean in winter, rests over the rail. Elian pauses there, as always placing a hand on the soft wool. It was a gift from a friend long gone to another harbor, and it holds the warmth of many nights. Higher and higher the keeper climbs, never in a hurry. The sea is patient. The ships move slowly. The stars are in no rush to appear. The lighthouse belongs to these long rhythms, the swing of its great lens, the turning of tides, the slow arc of the earth. When Elian reaches the lantern room, the world opens all at once. Windows of thick glass encircle the space so that sky and sea form one wide circle of dimming light. The room is quiet except for the low ticking of the clockwork that turns the lens and the far-off murmur of waves below. Elian checks the lantern with hands that know each motion by heart. The wick is trimmed. The glass is clear. The gears are wound and ready. Everything is in its place as it has been on so many evenings before. Outside, the sky slips from violet to deep blue. The first stars appear, pale at first, then brighter. Elian strikes a match. The tiny sound is sharp in the stillness, then fades as the flame blooms. The lantern catches, and a warm, steady light begins to grow. The great lens gathers that light and sends it outward in a bright, turning beam. It sweeps across the water in slow arcs, touching the waves, the far rocks, the shoulders of distant cliffs, then sliding back into the dark. Far out on the sea, a small fishing boat sees the beam. The sailors on board do not know the keeper's name, but they know this light. They recognize its rhythm, the slow sweep that tells them where the shore lies, and where hidden stones wait beneath the surface. They feel safer knowing someone is up there, tending the glow. Inside the tower, Elian watches the light make its first full circle, then another, and feels calm settle in the chest, like a stone in still water. The lighthouse is awake. The sea is being watched. All is as it should be. After the lantern is set, Elian walks back down the stairs to the keeper's room. The room is round like the tower, with a low ceiling and a single window facing the open sea. Shelves line the curved walls, holding worn books, small jars of sea glass, and bits of driftwood shaped by waves into birds and boats and animals. A kettle rests on an old iron stove. In one corner stands a narrow bed covered in a quilt of many soft colors. Elian moves quietly, placing the kettle on the stove and adding a log to the fire. The flames take hold and begin to whisper. Warm light fills the little room, mixing with the paler light from the window, where the sweep of the lantern passes every so often like the slow blink of a gentle eye. On the table by the window lies the logbook, its thick pages filled with careful handwriting. Every line marks a day: clear night, calm sea, heavy rain, low clouds, fog, horn sounding. Elian glances down the list and smiles faintly at a few remembered moments. The wild storm that arrived without warning. The strange, breathless morning when the water lay still. as a mirror. Tonight the notes will be simple. Stars bright, air cool, sea steady. When the kettle begins to murmur, Elian pours a cup of herb tea scented with chamomile and wild mint picked from the dunes behind the tower. Steam curls upward, then disappears into the shadows near the ceiling. The keeper wraps both hands around the warm cup and settles into the wooden chair by the window. Outside, the path that leads down to the rocky beach lies empty. In summer, children sometimes run there, their voices carried on the wind, and visitors climb the tower to look out at the wide, circling sea. They ask about storms and shipwrecks, about waves tall as houses and winds that howl like wolves. Elian answers quietly, telling them that the sea can be fierce, but also gentle, and that the lighthouse is there to be a steady promise in both moods. Tonight there are no visitors. The peninsula lies in peaceful darkness. The lighthouse keeps its own company, wrapped in the sound of the tide and the patient turning of its light. Elian sips the tea and listens. A wave breaks on the rocks with a soft rush. Somewhere a gull calls once, then settles. The clockwork above ticks on, steady as a heartbeat. The keeper's breathing falls into the same quiet rhythm. As the night deepens, the outline of the world grows softer. The fishing boat that saw the light has sailed on. Its small lanterns are only faint sparks now against the dark. Along the surface of the water, a low band of mist begins to form, silver where it catches the moon, shadowy where it does not. It gathers in gentle folds around the base of the cliffs, like a shawl laid over the shoulders of the land. Elian stands and climbs back up the spiral stairs to the lantern room. The flame burns clear and constant behind the glass. Outside, the moon hangs low and full, casting a pale path over the water. The mist glows where the beam cuts through it, turning and turning in slow circles. Sometimes on nights like this, the fog plays its own slow game. Shapes drift at the edge of sight. Elian has seen a curve of mist that looked almost like the bow of an old ship, just for a moment before the next breath of wind changed it. Once, the clouds parted so that for a few heartbeats there seemed to be a narrow, misty stairway rising from the water into the sky. Tonight, the mist carries another quiet wonder. As the light turns, its beam falls on a cluster of rocks near the foot of the cliff. There, half hidden by grass and foam, something glints faintly, answering the lantern with a tiny echo of brightness. With each slow sweep of the beam, the glimmer appears again, steady and small. Elian watches, calm but curious. There is no hurry. The sea is gentle, the sky kind. After a while, curiosity settles in, soft and persistent as the sound of the waves, and the keeper decides to go down to the shore. At the base of the tower, Elian takes a hand lantern from its hook. The little flame inside stirs as the door opens and a breath of night air drifts in. Outside, the wind is cool and carries the taste of salt. Above, the lighthouse beam moves across the sky in its familiar pattern. The path to the water winds gently down the slope between tufts of grass and low, wind-bent shrubs. Pebbles shift quietly under Elian's boots. The grass brushes against the keeper's legs with a faint, dry whisper. The sound of the sea grows louder but never harsh. Just a steady rush and hush, over and over, like slow breathing. Closer to the water, the mist thickens. It hangs in low folds, drifting in and out of the lantern's warm circle. Rocks appear and disappear. The world narrows to the sound of waves, the soft scuff of footsteps, the quiet ring of metal as the lantern's handle moves. Near the edge of the tide line, Elian stops. There, nestled in a shallow hollow between two smooth stones, lies the source of the glimmer. It is a piece of sea glass larger than any Elian has found before. The glass is the same soft red as the lighthouse tower, and even in the faint light, it seems to hold a glow of its own. Elian kneels, balancing with one hand on the damp rock. The lantern light falls over the glass. Its surface is rounded and smooth, worn by years of tumbling in waves and sand. Within it, a dull ember seems to burn, opening and closing gently as the lantern sways. The keeper lifts the glass. It sits in the palm like a small, cool stone. When Elian turns, the distant beam from the lighthouse sweeps across the shore and catches on its surface. And for a slow moment, the glass shines as if filled with captured dawn. There is no need to name this wonder or explain it. The sea holds many quiet secrets. Some wash up only once on some small, still night when the world is half asleep. Elian simply smiles and tucks the piece into a pocket where it rests with a comforting weight against the keeper's side. For a little while longer, Elian stands by the water. The waves move in and out, smoothing the sand, polishing the stones. The mist drifts past in slow veils. Above, the red tower stands like a patient guardian, its light turning. When the night air begins to feel cooler on the keeper's cheeks, Elian walks back up the path to the lighthouse. The lantern on the cliff top shines steadily, and the smaller lantern in the keeper's hand answers with its own modest glow. Two tiny suns, keeping company in the dark. Inside again, Elian closes the door against the breeze and climbs the stairs to the keeper's room. The fire on the stove has burned low, leaving a soft, even warmth. On the windowsill, among jars of blue and green glass, the keeper places the new red piece. It catches the light of the sweeping beam and returns it a small, steady ember. The hours slip by. Elian writes a few simple lines in the logbook. Clear, calm, mist along shore, strange red glass found on rocks. The letters are careful and even, then the pen is set aside. The keeper settles once more in the chair by the window. Outside, the path is empty, the sea unhurried. Every now and then, from somewhere beyond the cliffs, comes the low toll of a buoy bell. Its sound arrives in slow waves of air, rising and fading, a sleepy note in the vast hush. The lighthouse answers not with sound, but with light, circling and circling without pause. As the night moves toward its quietest hours, the air inside the tower cools. Elian reaches for the winter-colored shawl and draws it around their shoulders. The wool is soft and familiar. Wrapped in it, the keeper feels drowsiness gather, not sudden or heavy, just a steady, pleasant weight, like a blanket being drawn up a little higher. Elian leans back, letting the chair support their body. The eyes grow heavier. The sounds of the lighthouse blend together. The slow tick of the lantern's clockwork, the far-off rush of water, the occasional sigh of wind against the stones. Thoughts loosen and stretch. They drift to summers when the cliffs were dotted with wildflowers, and to winters when snow clung to the tower's steps. The lighthouse has seen all of it and remains, always, the same calm presence at the edge of the sea. Up in the lantern room, the flame burns on. The light moves in its measured circle again and again, tracing the same path without impatience, marking the hours until morning. Ships at sea see that repeating pattern and know where they are. They know they are not alone. Slowly, almost shyly, a pale brightness begins to touch the far edge of the horizon. The deep blue of the sky thins to gray. The stars fade, mist softens, then lifts. Dawn is still distant, but its promise has already arrived. Elian stirs, the shawl slipping slightly. The keeper stretches fingers and shoulders, then rises once more to climb the steps to the lantern room. Outside the windows, the sea is no longer black, but a soft, murmuring blue. The line of the horizon is clear and quiet. With practiced hands, Elian tends the lantern. As the sky brightens, the need for its strong beam fades. In time, the flame will be lowered, and the great lens will be left to rest, catching sunlight instead of firelight. The tower will stand through the day, simple and bright against the sky, holding its strength for the next night. Down in the keeper's room, morning arrives with gentle light that creeps across the floor and up the curved wall. It touches the quilt on the narrow bed, the spines of the books, the jars of sea glass lined on the sill. The new red piece glows softly between a smooth blue stone and a pale shard that shines like a leaf. Elian makes a simple breakfast. A pan against the stove, the clink of a cup, water poured, bread cut. Outside, a rabbit moves carefully along the path, pausing to sniff the air. A gull glides past the window, wings bright in the newest light. The world is waking, unhurried. All through the day, the lighthouse waits. Elian checks the weather, notes the shapes of the clouds. In the small garden behind the tower, hardy herbs grow close to the ground, sheltering near the warm stone wall. The keeper kneels to pull a weed here and there, fingers brushing damp earth. Time passes in small tasks and quiet steps, and the memory of the night lingers like the scent of tea in the air. The red lighthouse stands and watches. Waves roll in and away, in and away. The rocks glisten and dry, glisten and dry. Gulls circle, sometimes crying out, sometimes silent. The tower keeps its place, patient and sure. It knows night will return. It knows the lantern will shine again. When the sky begins to color with evening once more, Elian will climb the stair, light the flame, and watch the beam sweep across the water, The piece of red glass will catch a bit of that light in the keeper's room, and in some distant place a sailor or a traveler will see the turning glow and feel a quiet comfort. Now, as you lie here, you can imagine that same light far away, steady and calm. You are not the keeper, and yet you share this gentle night. The soft sea, the low mist, the patient tower, the warm shawl, the quiet cup of tea, the small red glass glowing on the sill. You might picture yourself standing at the base of the lighthouse, looking up at its tall red sides. The stone beneath your feet is cool and solid. The air smells of salt and distant rain. Above you, the lantern's beam turns slowly like the rhythm of your own breathing. Each time the light sweeps across the sky, it brushes a little farther across your thoughts, smoothing them, softening them, carrying them out over the water. Let your breath follow that rhythm. A gentle inhale, then a long, easy exhale. Feel how your shoulders can drop a little more. Your jaw loosens. The muscles across your back soften. Your hands uncurl. Your whole body begins to feel heavier and more supported. Imagine the sound of waves against rocks, not loud or crashing, but steady and soothing, rolling in and sliding back. Let that sound move through your thoughts, washing away the last sharp edges of the day. Any ideas or worries that float up now can drift like small boats on a quiet tide. You do not have to follow them. You can simply let them rise, rock gently, and fade. The lighthouse keeper has lit the lantern. The light is turning. Everything that needs to be watched is being watched. Everything that needs to be tended is being tended. On the sea, ships move in safety. On the shore, the rocks stand strong. In the tower, the keeper rests in a wooden chair, wrapped in the soft shawl, listening to the lullaby of the water. You are allowed to rest now, just as the keeper rests between rounds, just as the lighthouse rests between storms. There is nothing you must solve, nothing you must carry alone. The wide, quiet night can hold it all for you. The sea can carry it. The light can stand guard. Feel your body sinking more deeply into whatever supports you, the mattress, the pillow, the blankets. They hold you as gently and securely as the rocks hold the lighthouse. Your breath moves in and out, slow and soft, like the tide. With every breath, you drift a little farther into calm. Images of the tower may drift through your mind, the red shape against the sky, the moving glow of the lantern, the mist wrapping around the rocks, the small red glass shining faintly on the windowsill. Let these images grow hazy and far away like lights seen across water at night. They do not pull on you. They simply keep you company. Soon, even these pictures will soften and fade. Thoughts will lengthen and slow, like waves stretching out along a quiet shore. Your breathing will become deep and even. Your body will feel heavy and light at the same time, held and floating, safe and free. If you are still awake, there is no rush. Night is wide. The keeper continues to tend the light. The The sea goes on sighing around the rocks. You can rest here between waking and dreaming, rocked by the gentle rhythm of your own breath. And when sleep arrives, it will come as softly as a small wave sliding over smooth sand, covering you in quiet. You will drift down into it, peaceful and unafraid, knowing that somewhere in a far, tender corner of imagination, the red lighthouse stands at the edge of the sea, its lantern turning, its keeper resting, the water breathing slow and deep all around. For now you may let go a little more. Let your breath settle into whatever pace feels easiest. Let your thoughts thin and grow distant. Feel yourself sinking into warmth and darkness as safely as the lighthouse is rooted in its rocky shore. Good night, dear traveler. May the light of the red lighthouse watch over your dreams, and may your sleep be deep and sweet. Sleep well.